Hello everybody, SirdNerdBird here. While browsing YouTube, I was surprised to see that nobody has made a video covering the lore for specific characters. With Splatoon 3 around the corner, and in order to make Splatoon's lore more accessible, I've decided to make this video in order to cover the currently known timeline for the original idol duo of Callie and Marie. This timeline will go from their early life before the events of Splatoon 1 up until the end of Splatoon 2 and the little we know about their role in Splatoon 3. Hopefully this video will serve as a refresher for those of you who've been following Splatoon's plot, as well as containing some additional info that you might not have come across before. But with that out of the way, let's get started. Both Callie and Marie were born and raised in a rural area known as Calamari County, which we know is situated around 3.5 hours away from Inkantation by train. The two cousins became interested in singing at a young age, and went on to win the first annual Inkantation Youth Folk Singing Contest, receiving a standing ovation for their performance. We know from the Splatoon art book that the song they sang during this performance was the chorus of Calamari County. This is a traditional folk song of unknown age from the region, which was originally intended to celebrate and show respect for the bounty of the sea. This song would later be covered by the Squid sisters to create the Calamari Inkantation, cementing the tune and lyrics into Inkling culture, to the extent that it is said that it may as well be carved into the very DNA of all Inklings. The age of Callie and Marie when they won the competition isn't directly stated, but by cross-referencing Sunken Scroll 17 with the Inkling development chart, it looks like they were at least 14. This is given that their skin tone wasn't the same as their ink colour, which only happens at the final stage. It is entirely possible that this was just the artist trying to humanise the characters in this image, as their proportions are significantly different to the 14-year-old playable Inklings, so take this rough age with a pinch of salt. According to a different part of the Splatoon article, Callie and Marie's performance during the competition helped them gain the attention of a committee member named Shy Ho Shy, which led them to later move to Inkantation in order to pursue a career in music. After moving to Inkantation, but before they became famous, the two worked at Walleye Warehouse, with Callie also working at Piranha Pit part-time. It's implied that both of these jobs were just to make ends meet while they adjusted to living in the city and their professional singing careers made it off the ground. However, with the release of their debut album, the Squid sisters achieved a meteoric rise to fame, swiftly becoming household names and the hosts of Inkantation News. At some unknown point before the events of the original Splatoon, Callie was recruited by Captain Cuttlefish, her grandfather, to join the new Squid Splatoon. Callie then managed to convince Marie to join as well, making them Agents 1 and 2. During the events of Splatoon, Callie and Marie served as the hosts of Inkantation News, and were the ones to break the news about the Great Zapfish's disappearance. After Captain Cuttlefish was abducted at the end of World 3 in hero mode, Callie and Marie stepped in as Agent 3's new support team, in order to help rescue the Great Zapfish and their grandfather. During the final battle between DJ Octavio and Agent 3, Callie and Marie revealed their identities and started to play the Calamari Inkantation. This gave Captain Cuttlefish the strength to break free and also helped Agent 3 to defeat DJ Octavio, allowing them to free the Great Zapfish and return it to Inkantation. This concert was also instrumental in setting up the events of Octo expansion in Splatoon 2, as those Octolings who heard the Inkantation were said to have had their souls freed from Octarian society. This led many Octolings, including Marina and Agent 8, to leave for Inkantation. After the Great Zapfish's return, the two continued to host Inkantation News, announcing stages and the Splatfest themes. During these Splatfests, each one of the Squid sisters would pick a side, and it's somewhat implied that their teams aligned with their actual opinions. We know from the Splatoon 1 artbook that Callie Marie was 17 during the events of Splatoon 1. At the end of Splatoon 1's run of Splatfests, the theme for the final fest was revealed as Callie vs Marie. Around this time, potentially in conjunction with the Splatfest organisers, the two dropped their first solo tracks, with Callie releasing Bomb Rush Blush and Marie releasing Tide Goes Out. The difference in tone between these two songs reflected the different personalities of the two idols, and to some extent helped people to pick which side they wanted to support. Although both teams fought hard, in the end Team Marie was victorious, if only by a small margin. However, we know that this result didn't breed resentment between the two cousins, and they still remained good friends. The final Splatfest managed to propel the Squid sisters to new heights of fame, being described as becoming the biggest stars of Inkling society. This led the two to quit their job of hosting Inkantation News around 9 months after the final Splatfest and pursue their own solo careers. Callie became a popular guest actor on variety TV shows, while Marie started to appear as a guest on music shows as well as performing in her own solo concerts. While Callie and Marie still shared the same apartment with each other, their different schedules meant that they barely ever saw each other, even on their respective days off. Marie eventually started to become worried that Callie was secretly resentful of her due to the result of the final Splatfest, and that this was the reason why the two were spending much less time with one another, although she brushed this off as paranoia. In the Squid sister stories, we're told that after an unexpected opening in her schedule, Marie decided to organise a trip to see her parents back in Calamari County, with Callie set to join her the next day. However, Callie failed to arrive at the train station, and Marie rushed back to Inkopolis to find out that not only was Callie missing, but DJ Octavio had also been freed from his snow globe prison. Soon after, Marie also discovered that the Great Zapfish had gone missing for the second time and began to put two and two together as to what might have happened. Deciding that she needed to recruit a new agent to take down the renewed Octarian threat, Marie set her sights on Inkopolis Square as the place to find a suitable inkling. During the events of Splatoon 2, Marie successfully recruited Agent 4 to join the new Squid Splatoon, and served as both their mentor and guide throughout Hero Mode. As Agent 4 pushed through Octo Canyon, Marie started to receive cryptic radio messages that were later revealed to be coming from Callie. When Agent 4 and Marie finally found Callie, they discovered that she had fallen under the influence of DJ Octavio's Hypno Shades, and was working as one of his subordinates. While Agent 4 was fighting the improved Octobot King, Marie managed to shoot the Hypno Shades off of Callie using her charger, enabling Callie to fight off the brainwashing and eventually reuniting the two. Callie and Marie then performed a new, spicy remix of the Calamari Inkantation, as Agent 4 successfully defeated DJ Octavio. It remains to be seen whether this second concert will further increase the number of Octolings who are leaving Octarian society, and whether this will have any tangible effects on the story of Splatoon 3. After being reunited with each other, the two wrote a new song called Fresh Start, which serves as the credits theme for Splatoon 2. After the events of Hero Mode, Callie joined Marie at Cuttlefish Cabin, and this is their last known location before the events of Splatoon 3 as of now. At an unknown point after the events of Octo Expansion, Marie joined Marina's chat room and managed to communicate with Captain Cuttlefish for the first time since Callie's disappearance. We also know from session 9 of the chat room that Callie and Marie had already met and were possibly friends with Off the Hook before the events of Octo Expansion. From the return of the Mammalians trailer, we know that during Splatoon 3's story mode, Callie and Marie will serve at least some importance to the plot, most likely helping to support new Agent 3 as they traverse through Alterna. That's more or less the complete timeline for the Squid Sisters up until the end of Splatoon 2. With Splatoon 3 coming up, we'll likely get more information about Callie and Marie, and it looks like they're going to feature pretty heavily in the story. However, it's unlikely that anything in this video will be changed or otherwise retconned when Splatoon 3 arrives. As a small aside, I'm still a little bit disappointed with how Callie and Marie's characters were handled in Splatoon 2's Hero Mode. The Squid Sister stories tried to set up this interesting potential conflict between the two after the final Splatfest in Splatoon 1, with the build-up of Marie's paranoia and her feeling that something isn't right. So for the reason Callie disappeared to simply be that she was just abducted unwillingly by DJ Octavio with no hard feelings towards Marie is anticlimactic, to say the least. It feels like the writers intended for Marie to go through a character arc and then reunite with Callie, but not only is there a mismatch between the tone of the Squid Sister stories and what the actual story ends up being, but there isn't any actual development for Marie's character at all, aside from it being implied that she spends slightly more time with Callie after the events of Hero Mode than they did post Splatoon 1. With Splatoon 2's rushed development time, it is genuinely possible that more was intended for the game's plotline, but maybe I'm just expecting too much from Splatoon's writing. I just hope that with the extended development time, Splatoon 3's story will be a bit more weighty and fleshed out than Splatoon 2's. Anyway, I hoped you enjoyed the video and found it interesting. While I've intended to fit as many things into this summary as I can, I've had to leave out some of the more interesting small tidbits. For example, it's heavily implied, if not outright stated, that both Callie and Marie have worked for Grizzco, which could be interesting if it turns out that Mr. Grizz is, as theorised, the villain for Splatoon 3 and has been using the golden eggs collected from Salmon Run for evil purposes. If you'd like to learn more about the characters, I'd highly recommend reading through some of the related Inkopedia articles that I've linked below for more details. Also, I've decided to brave the irradiated wasteland that is Splatoon Twitter and set up my own account, to which I'll be posting video updates and other things, so go follow that if you're interested. And with that out of the way, I'll see you all next time.